Law school application numbers are spiking across the board. Applications are up 38.3% year over year, and applicant numbers are up 26.2% year over year, which might seem like terrible news, but don't worry, things are not as bad as they might seem, and in fact, they're about to get a whole lot better. Today, I'll walk you through why these numbers are not as bad as they might seem and what this means for your law school applications if you're applying to law school this fall. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, yes, you may have seen that law school applicant volume is way up this cycle, and yes, that is true. That might sound bad because you might think to yourself, more applicants for a limited number of seats is going to make for a more competitive cycle. And yes, that would be true if law school applicant volume was going to continue to be as high as these early reports as of November are indicating. But as you hopefully know from your LSAT studying, early reports based on a limited sample size can oftentimes be extremely misleading. The thing is, we're only a few months into the cycle, and so these percentages year over year are based on a very limited number of people. Things can and will change significantly as time goes on, and there are also some unique reasons why year over year increases are not as meaningful as they might otherwise be. This year is unique, and last year was also unique. This year in particular, 2024, people have been taking the LSAT and applying earlier than in previous cycles because of the LSAT format change. For those who aren't aware, LSAT removed the logic game section after the June LSAT and replaced it with a second scored logical reasoning section. This was the biggest change to the LSAT in over 30 years. A lot of people were rushing to take the LSAT before games were removed, with June being the last one with the games. Then there were a lot of other people who would have taken the LSAT in April or June, but they waited until August so they could take it without the logic game section. But for either group, taking in June or August, they were going earlier than they would have otherwise, when maybe in a previous year or upcoming year, they'll be taking it later in the fall. So you had a large cohort of people, many of whom were high scorers, planning ahead, taking the LSAT relatively early. And this group was unique. These are not just the average student taking the LSAT early. It was a reason for a lot of high scorers to be taking the LSAT earlier. According to the most recently released LSAT data, as of mid-November, applicants in the 165 to 169 range are up 38.2% year over year. Applicants in the 170 to 174 range are up 33.8% year over year. And applicants in the 175 to 180 range are up 35% year over year. These numbers may sound high, but these percentages will drop significantly. As I said, early data can and often is extremely volatile, and so it's worth interpreting that with extreme caution. These percentages will go down, both the percentages of high-scoring LSAT applicants as well as the number of applicants overall. Additionally, just as I mentioned, this year was unique. Last year was also unique. This year is unique because of the LSAT format change, the removal of the logic game section. Last year was uniquely slow due to the Supreme Court's ban on affirmative action. Law schools were redoing their application essays, redoing their processes to figure out how best to reword the prompts and still maintain diverse classes while still complying with the ban on race-based affirmative action. This is yet another factor making these sorts of year-over-year comparisons less reliable and less meaningful. We will probably expect an overall applicant increase of roughly 10 to 15% at most by the end of this cycle. That would be in line with what we saw in previous presidential election years, like in 2016 and 2020, the so-called Trump bump phenomenon. The idea behind this term is that in years where Trump is a presidential candidate, we can expect a significant increase in the number of people applying to law school because folks are more politically engaged. A lot of law school applicants are liberal and looking to make a difference within the system by becoming attorneys. They may be even more galvanized by Trump's election and the fact that he is now officially the president for the next 4 years. And so this is one factor that could lead to some increase relative to last year, but not going to be 25, 30% or more like these early stats would indicate. We can also expect that if the economy improves and unemployment drops, we'll see fewer people applying to law school because law school applicant numbers increase when the economy is bad and they decrease when it's good. So economic conditions will moderate the increase in law school applicants as well. Now, of course, I'm expecting GPA medians to continue to rise as grade inflation isn't going anywhere, and law schools are always looking to raise their GPA medians, and LSAT medians will likely increase as well as we continue to see LSAT score inflation. Now, whatever your GPA was, the good news is that even though your GPA is probably pretty fixed by the point that you're watching this video and applying to law school, you still have a lot of room to increase your chances of getting into the best law school possible by increasing your LSAT score. And you have 8 times a year, 8 opportunities per year to take the LSAT and retake the LSAT. We have coming up, of course, January and February. The January LSAT is not too late, and neither is the February LSAT. January LSAT scores come back on February 5th, giving you plenty of time to get your applications in before the deadlines. February LSAT scores come back February 26th, which is not too late to apply to virtually every single law school in the US. And of course, law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They do not penalize you for having multiple LSAT scores on record. And so if you're looking to increase your LSAT score and self-studying just isn't doing it for you, if you feel you need to change your approach, please reach out. My team and I would be glad to support you on your journey to scoring a 175 or above. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.